celebrating the baby boomer lifestyle. This is Boomer Life with Sterling Fox on AM 650.
Welcome back to Boomer Life. Our guest in studio, Dr. Ted Venema. Dr. Ted is an audiologist with NextGen Hearing and MainlandHearing.com. And obviously, this episode of Boomer Life is all about hearing. It's always a treat to have Dr. Ted in studio. You're such an animated guy. You know, you were talking about the folks at NextGen and Mainland Hearing, Dr. Ted, going through the process with each patient. It's, as you say, we don't just talk the talk, we walk the walk. And so you like to see a patient who has been prescribed hearing aids. You like to see that person once a week for the first month, and then
3 weeks anyway.
Every couple of weeks for after that. And it's not just about holding the person's hand, because you're still doing other tests, aren't you?
One thing that's part of NextGen policy and Mainland is we want to measure what is the hearing aid actually doing in your ear.
Okay.
I mean, the computer programming is great, but everybody's got a different ear canal, and the hearing aid's going to behave differently in a tiny enclosed space.
Sure.
We do what's called real ear measurement. We measure the actual sound coming out of the hearing aid and determine, hey, is it doing what the computer said it would be doing? Is it doing what the fitting method, the prescription fitting method said it would be doing?
How do you do that?
Well, you take a tiny little tube. It's very thin. You slide that puppy into the ear canal almost down to the drum. It's connected to the computer.
Right, yeah.
And then you put the hearing aid carefully, which is why you have to be qualified to do this, into the guy's ear canal on top of that tube. And the person sits about 2 feet away from a speaker that's emitting sound. It could be the spouse's sound. It could be speech from a baby. It could be average conversational speech, soft conversational. And you measure with that sound input coming into the mic of the hearing aid's amplifying and spitting out its amplified sound against your eardrum.
Right.
We are determining, is that amplified sound correct? Is it too much, too little? Is it doing what the computer said on its screen that it would be doing?
Right.
And this is called the process of verification, proving that the hearing aid is doing what you said it would be doing.
Right.
It's called real ear measurement, and all clinics should be doing it. If you don't, it's like doing telling you you've got a disease without doing a biopsy on you to prove it.
Right.
You can't just say, oh, how does that sound? Well, how does that sound? I mean, what do you mean, how does that sound? Sometimes the person doesn't know how it should sound.
So
Is that hearing loss for so darn long?
What happens, though, when you discover that in the process of this real hearing testing that all is not copacetic, that for some reason there's a dropout here, or there's a link missing there.
And you find that very often. You then readjust the settings on the computer and save those.
Does it happen sometimes? I know it happens with glasses.
Yeah.
Where you get the wrong frames. Yeah. And so you get the wrong brand of hearing aid. You thought it would be the right one. Your audiologist, your specialist thought it would be the perfect match, and it's just not working.
No, this can happen, which is why we have a 90-day trial period with hearing aids. This is bang on. Everybody's 90-day trial period where the person could return the hearing aids for full and complete refund.
Okay.
We're not out here to sell you hearing aids. Have I got a watch for you? You know, we're here in the healthcare industry.
Right.
I mean, it's all legit, and it has to be.
Right.
I mean, I have to be a licensed, registered member with the College of BC Hearing Health Professionals, for heaven's sake. So when you're fitting hearing aids, it's a walk. You walk with the client. You see the person on a regular basis to say, how are you getting on with these things? Can I answer any questions? Do you have any observations for me?
And what
do you have concerns?
What typically do people want to know when they're trying on and getting used to hearing aids? What do they want to know? What are their questions?
They often say, oh, the rustling of paper is so different, or the running of water, or I can hear the fridge, or sometimes they'll say, oh, my own voice is a bit too loud.
Okay.
Sometimes they'll say it sounds a bit too sharp or too tinny.
And you can tune that,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. That's why you're seeing them.
Right.
And you want to be able to change the settings, but it's a two-part walk. You can't just give them what they think they want,
right?
Because they don't always know. They can guide you, but you have to also verify and prove that you're still within the ballpark of where you ought to be.
Right.
And that's well-determined research on what's called fitting methods, and which is the biggest that comes out. You have one that came out of Canada and another one that came out of Australia. The two pink countries on the globe have the two most popular prescription fitting methods out there.
So the bottom line, the take-home message from this episode of Boomer Life, as is always the case with Dr. Ted Venema when he graces us with his presence, is, for goodness sake, get yourself a hearing test.
It's
for crying out loud, it's free. It's 100% free.
Check it
out.
And
it's I had fun. I know, I mean, it sounds weird. Sterling, you had fun at a hearing test. You mustn't get out much.
It's an adventure,
but,
though.
you know, it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
And Dr. Lee was a terrific guy, so I enjoyed the experience.
Yep, find out about yourself.
That's right. And give yourself a benchmark by which then, from now on, once a year or whenever you choose, then you have a reference point that you can gauge your hearing on for the rest of your days.
Yeah, that's right.
Always good to see you.
Likewise, Shirley.
Thanks for coming by. The websites again, sure, you bet. Mainlandhearing.com and NextGen Hearing, and that's NEXGEN Hearing.com. Dr. Ted will be joined by Mark Hambley in another month. We'll talk more about hearing on Boomer Life.
We'll see you when we look at you.
All right. We'll see you next time.